I'm Dr. Abha Nagral, consultant hepatologist at Apollo and Jaslok Hospitals, Mumbai. I have a special interest in pediatric hepatology, and I was actually a founding trustee of the Children's Liver Foundation. It is an NGO which was started about 11 years ago to create awareness about liver disorders in children, both amongst children and their families, and also amongst the medical profession. So, just to talk about children and liver disorders, we know that children cannot be treated as many adults. They have a different spectrum of liver diseases from adults. It's a wide spectrum, much wider than what we see in children, what we see in adults, and metabolic diseases are an important component. Problems are often not recognized early in children and they just manifest as poor growth. Also, since children have more of metabolic and complicated problems, we do not have diagnostic modalities very freely available and they are also expensive. But as time passes by, more and more diagnostic modalities are now available. Also, the question asked is why do an expensive test if one cannot treat the condition? That is not true because genetic problems are important to be diagnosed to prevent them in future children. So, if you diagnose a child with a metabolic liver disorder, you may be able to help the parents by testing the mother in pregnancy to look for the similar disorder. And if it is something untreatable, you would want to terminate the pregnancy. If it is a treatable disorder, you would want to actually start treatment right after birth. So, talking of some very basic tests, how does one approach a liver profile? So we know that liver function tests, better known as liver profile, has these components: the total and direct bilirubin, AST, which was previously called SGOT, ALT, which was previously called SGPT, alkaline phosphatase and GGT go together, and total protein, which consists of albumin and globulin. A good liver profile should also include a prothrombin time, which is very much a test of synthetic function of the liver. Now, specifically in children, a patient is said to have direct or conjugated bilirubin if it is more than 20% of the total serum bilirubin. And this is important because the entire approach of the liver problem will depend on whether the child has direct or indirect hypobilirubinemia, and the spectrum will be totally different in the two categories. We should also be aware that in the pubertal age, the alkaline phosphatase is high, and therefore a good lab should mention the alkaline phosphatase range for children, which will be higher, and therefore if it is not mentioned, it will be misconstrued as being high when it is actually not so. This is the alkaline phosphatase which comes from the bones. We should always have GGT as part of a liver profile because it is going to tell you whether the alkaline phosphatase is coming from the liver or the bone, and I'll elaborate that in a minute. Neonates, we should know, have a lower albumin, and therefore these patients should not be diagnosed as having chronic liver disease because of a low albumin. Palmar erythema, a sign of chronic liver disease, may be normally present in very young children. Coming to bilirubin, if one were to look at the liver profile and look at the bilirubin values, if it is an indirect hyperbilirubinemia, one needs to rule out hemolysis. Also, this will be ruled out by looking at the peripheral smear where you will have RBCs of various shapes and sizes and a retic count. Clinically, a child who has indirect hyperbilirubinemia will have a urine which is normal in color or transparent, whereas any child with a direct hyperbilirubinemia will have a high colored or a yellow urine. So, indirect hyperbilirubinemia is also now referred to as acholiuric jaundice, which means that there is yellowness of the eyes, but the urine is normal in color. So, that's a quick clinical way of finding out whether the patient has direct or indirect hyperbilirubinemia. If one has ruled out hemolysis as a cause of indirect hyperbilirubinemia, then the two important conditions which one should bear in mind are genetic conditions called Gilbert syndrome, where usually the bilirubin is less than 5, or Crigler-Najjar syndrome, where it could be type 1 and 2, where the bilirubin is between 5 and 20. In type 1, unless the child is continuously subjected to phototherapy, most of these children do not survive beyond young childhood because of Kernicterus. In type 2, the enzyme is partially deficient, not totally absent as in type 1, and these patients can survive with bilirubins hovering between 5 and 20. Direct hyperbilirubinemia with a normal alkaline phosphatase and GGT, one should think of conditions called Dubin-Johnson, where if you look at the liver, the biopsy is totally black in color, or Rotor syndrome. Now, this is isolated hyperbilirubinemia. That means in the liver profile, except for bilirubin, everything else is normal. So, your immediate diagnosis on seeing a high bilirubin should be a genetic problem, which I have just elaborated. And of these, Gilbert syndrome is quite common. It is seen in 5 to 10% of the population and is very often incidentally picked up because it does not cause any major symptoms except for the eyes appearing yellow. And these people, these children or adults, just need reassurance and no repeated tests or no need for a whole battery of liver tests. What about aminotransferases, AST and ALT? If there is acute onset symptoms and AST ALT are high, one should think of the following etiologies. Basically, AST and ALT are indicators of necroinflammation of the liver. Typically, in liver disorders, primary liver disorders, the ALT or SGPT is much more than the AST. If in an acute setting you have values above 400, think that it may be an initial stage of acute hepatitis like viral or drug, or it could be ischemic hepatitis. Now, what is ischemic hepatitis? The patient has had hypotension due to some cause, say during intraoperatively, or has had a accident with major bleed. The blood pressure drops and there is ischemia or reduced blood flow to the liver. This causes the enzymes to skyrocket and they may be there in thousands. Typically, with ischemic hepatitis, the kidneys also suffer from reduced blood supply and there is acute tubular necrosis and rise in creatinine. And the clinical situation is completely different. So, just because you see very high enzymes does not always mean viral hepatitis, it could be any of these causes which I have mentioned. Also, if there is a bile duct stone which has passed off, a gallstone coming into the bile duct and then passing off can cause enzymes to go up acutely and sometimes can be even more than 1000. Heavy exercise also has been associated with high enzymes, but typically here AST will be more than ALT. The important point I want to stress here is just because the enzymes are very high does not necessarily mean that the patient has severe liver disease. So the levels do not necessarily correlate with high enzymes. Just because the enzymes are high, the child does not need admission unless you have other markers to tell you that this is severe acute hepatitis. Coming to other marker of liver dysfunction or in the liver profile, we have serum albumin. Now, serum albumin is only produced by the liver. It implies synthetic function of the liver and has a half-life of 3 weeks. Low albumin implies that there is either decreased production by the liver or increased losses through the kidney and gut, or it could also be nutritional where the intake is poor, and in this situation the globulins are also low. So a low albumin and a low globulin implies a nutritional deficiency, whereas typically in liver disease the globulin will be high. So I mentioned about GGT, who parallels the rise in alkaline phosphatase in the liver disease and is especially important in children because alkaline phosphatase in children could be high because of bone disease. So if you have a high alkaline phosphatase and a high GGT, you can say with confidence that this is a patient who has high alkaline phosphatase and GGT coming from a liver disease, and then one would look for causes of either cholestasis or an infiltrative liver disease. Thank you. That's it today for the liver profile in children.